spirit is rising, she's rising, she's rising. The spirit is rising, it's rising, it's rising. The spirit is rising, they're rising, they're rising.
Hi.
Hi.
We're so excited to be here.
I know, we're back. We've been giggling. I don't know if the mic will pick it up, but my kid and Mark are hollering in the room outside. We're like, good vibes today. Yesterday, I was not good vibes. This is the Missing Witches prescription. I'm Risa, by the way.
And this is Amy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How were you this week? I was dragged below yesterday. I was fucking all the way underground yesterday.
Oh, well. Do you want to start then?
I guess maybe. I had a migraine. I haven't had a migraine in so long.
Oh, and that was like a real fucking issue for you in your past.
Yeah. I've talked about this before, but I basically had a migraine for 10 years. So when they come, which they almost never do now, I have to kind of find my way through like all the fear, because the fear makes it worse, but I can't help it. I like slip into just being terrified that it's going to come back again, and then I'll just like live in that fuzzy, no patience pain world again forever. I feel it come over me. I've had this happen once at your house. Do you remember I had a panic attack at your house? Because on my way walking over to your place, walking through Jean Market, I got the visual field stuff, so I couldn't see clearly. I got really overstimulated by the market. It was a really bright, loud day. I lost vision in one eye. I started to like have the waves of pain. Like it all happens on my left side. It all starts to shut down. And I got to Amy's house, which was like this beautiful, like wood, like carved wood, dark kind of cozy den. And I just like shook and cried. And then I think we smoked a joint, and then I drank a bunch of water and juice, and it never really got to the full-blown migraine. But I remember that feeling of the mounting fear so much. And yesterday I was able to just lie in the basement in the dark in a fetal position and watch Drag Race when I needed distraction, and it was very healing.
That's perfect. Yes. It can be a little screamy for a migraine, but if you keep the volume low, then
yeah, it was like at a 2, and it was just sort of like keeping me company, and I was very weepy, and I was just dragged through it. And I don't know, so many of the conversations we've had in recent years have helped me when that happens to not like clench around it in terror or like try to manage it or try to push through it. It's like, no, I'm just incredibly privileged that I can just spiral in around this body and sink into the dark basement and just do that for however long is needed, and then I will spiral back up and I'll be okay.
Yeah, because I mean, with an episode of any kind, the scariest part is like, is this going to last 10 years or 10 minutes? You know, is this migraine going to ever go away, or is it going to be tomorrow I'll feel fine? It's so scary to be in those places, and then you do that physically, and you know, our bodies are such a communicator, and we're sort of trained to ignore them. Especially female bodies are trained to ignore pain, trained to ignore signals, trained to say this is fine, carry on, chin up, stiff upper lip, put on some lipstick and go. Go do what you need to do. But your body was like, go underground, and you were able to do that.
I felt really lucky. And it's funny, the night before, and this goes into one of my prescription bits, the day before I went back on LinkedIn for the first time in like maybe like a month and a half or something. And like doom scrolling LinkedIn was very much a part of my life for a little while, you know, like I left like an intense kind of big tech marketing job that I had done for like almost 10 years. All of the people I worked with in that time are in super intense big tech marketing jobs still. And so my LinkedIn is just like incredibly stressful, really nice people, but there's a lot of performative, you know, like just want to, so excited to be starting a new gig with whoever. All of that stuff is happening. And when I left that job and I was interviewing for jobs and I hated them and I just wanted to be here doing this, but I hadn't like, I don't know, let myself make that leap yet. I was just doom scrolling. And so anyway, I took a long break. And then yesterday I went back on, not yesterday, the day before, for like a hot second. And the only thing I saw, the first thing I saw was this woman, Amber Goodwyn. I used to know her in Montreal, indie artist. She was in this rad band called Cobra and Vulture. She used to run like an indie porn zine called Lickety Split. Just very fucking cool. You know, she used to program music at CKUT. And she started, and now she's the artistic director, head of programming at the Regina Folk Festival. And she just started a blog. And it was like her first post on her brand new blog where she's writing about music she loves. And she shared this album, and I had never heard it before. And the artist is performing under the name The Obia Man, and it's from like 1960s Mercury Records, like Greenwich folk scene, but he's drawing on his like Bahamian musical roots and on like the Obia traditions, and it's so fucking rad. So she posted it, and I was like, that's my sign. I'm fucking off LinkedIn. I'm putting that album on really loud and taking a bath in the dark.
Honestly, I mean, imagine LinkedIn being the source of that instead of like, the crushing boob and boot of capitalism.
Yeah, exactly.
What a sign. What an amazing sign. I know you're like looking for validate, you being me and Risa and all of you who are listening, like looking for signs that are validating the choices that you're making. And I think that's one of them.
It really felt like it. And then I was also laughing to myself that like I've become the person who, when I have a half an hour, I've done what I needed to do for the day, the kid won't be home for half an hour, I'm like immediately in the bath in the dark, something funky smelling is billowing smoke wise out, there's candles lit, and I'm listening to one of the tracks is just like a 7-minute long seance, but it's so beautiful. And so, I mean, anyway, the song that I'm bringing for the prescription, because it just fits with this sense of like just a release that I don't know everything and I don't have to hold it all and control it all. It's just called You Don't Know What's Going On.
Amazing.
It's like, you don't know what's going on. And then the verse I love is, you can't change the night into day, and you can't take the milk from the Milky Way. You can't take the sun from the sky, and you can't put the light in Ray Charles' eyes. It's like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. So come go with me, take my hand, I'm going home. Yeah. It's so beautiful. Like, I don't have to know. I don't control all those things, you know? I'm just going to go hand by hand. I'm just going to try to find my way home. Anyway, I'm excited for you to hear it. I'm excited for everyone to hear it. I'm going to link to Amber Goodwyn's new blog. She said she's going to post another song soon.
Amazing. We'll have to have Amber on the podcast.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah,
she feels a bit witchy. I don't know.
A bit witchy is good enough for me. I don't know.
I mean,
our listeners.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all these days?
No, we aren't all.
No way.
No. I mean, those of us who are in this coven, in this moment, in this space, in the coven we create between our ears, as you always say, I think we are, but you know, it's important for me to poke my head out of the bubble every now and again to remember what's really going on and also that I don't know what's going on.
You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Tell me about your week. How are you doing?
Well, I mean, I have to I'm not going to talk long about it because there's other stuff I want to get to, but I do have to shout out my problematic old cultural uncle, Gordon Lightfoot, who died this week. And, you know, he struggled with addiction and didn't treat women well in life or in song, but really managed to outgrow that in his later years, and outgrow that bad reputation. But again, I mean, this is something that I've thought about my entire life. Like, as far as like bad people go, Gordon Lightfoot doesn't even really make the top 1 million, right? But still, you know, for me, especially after the person's dead and they can no longer profit, then all bets are off. We acknowledge, you know, that they did bad things, but I mean, I'm not giving up my Ike and Tina records. I'm not. I understand that Ike was a fucking horrible person, but Tina is a fucking amazing and inspirational person. And to
Goddess.
me, Tina is more in, like, I love Tina more than I hate Ike, if that makes any sense. But anyway, I've already spoken more about this. I just want to say, as a person with anxiety, Carefree Highway, Let Me Slip Away on You is something that I've been returning to for, you know, almost 40 years. When I need that like acoustic picking of like, you know, drunk uncle who means me no harm, singing a bittersweet song about the times and people he once knew and just wishing that he could slip away on a carefree highway. So I had to bring that. I had to bring that this week.
My other one is a Gordon Lightfoot one too, because I mean, I just grew up on it, you know. I just grew up on it. Like my parents didn't agree on much. they divorced when they were like 23, but they both had Gordon Lightfoot records, you know. And it was in our van for most of a summer. You know, the first time we brought May home, we have a video of her in the car looking out the window, and there's Gordon Lightfoot in the background. You know, it was in our van when he died. We'd just been listening to it again. You know, we keep a box of CDs in there. And yeah, so I since you brought it up, I wanted to say from River of Light, he said, I spent my life taking my time and I can't change anything. Take a look at my river of light. Be a part of a river at night. Nice to be on a river at peace, like a June bug traveling, heading off on a river at last. My tears will be all in the past. I hope he's at peace. I feel him in all those songs.
Yeah, I again, for me, he's on the Carefree Highway now, officially. He has slipped away onto the Carefree Highway, and he will continue to do so for all of eternity. And so that's mostly what I've been listening to this week, honestly, is like a lot of Lightfoot. We're Canadian, so maybe that rings differently for our like south of the border and around the rest of the world listeners. So just understand, like, for Canadians, I don't even know what like the Bob Dylan, but like sweeter, like he was less like a theorist and more of a poet philosopher, if that makes sense, if you're comparing him to Bob Dylan. But for Canadians, like, every Canadian grew up listening to Gordon Lightfoot or hearing Gordon Lightfoot or being exposed to Gordon Lightfoot. So if you're like, huh, that's why. It's because we're Canadian.
Yeah. And you know what? That's part of your prescription this week. If you're not fucking Canadian, is come be a little bit Canadian with us. Put on some Gordon Lightfoot and just like go there with us for a little bit, you know?
Yeah, we talk a lot about this Canadian identity that may or may not exist, but I think Gordon Lightfoot is like a strong part of that cultural mosaic that we all inhabit, for sure.
Yeah.
So like I say, I've been listening to a lot of Gordon Lightfoot, but one thing that I read this week, I really wanted to bring into the prescription because I think it ties into everything that I want to say this week. And that's that the Surgeon General in the US, I'm just going to read the headline. Surgeon General declares loneliness epidemic, saying it poses risks as deadly as smoking. So the Surgeon General has declared loneliness an epidemic. And that's, to me, is so so demonstrative of the system that we're living under, and something that we've been talking about forever, particularly as it relates to witchcraft and witch hunts, is this forced suspicion creating individualism. You know, Sylvia Federici talks about this, how if you think your neighbor might be a witch, then you're less likely to help them or ask for help. And all of this has created this system of individualism, this false sense of individualism that we're all living under, and feeling extremely lonely. I think everyone can relate to this, that it's not about how many people are around you, you know, or how many Instagram followers you have or Facebook friends you have. Loneliness is not quantifiable. It is only qualifiable, and it is a feeling that you are alone. And oftentimes that is that systemic feeling of like, there's no support. There's no one coming to help me. I have no support. Again, whether that's emotional support or financial support, I have no support. And this is a created epidemic. This has been created by the way that our society functions. And so how do we get out of this? If loneliness is an epidemic, then what is the cure? Of course, we have a coven, which is part of it. But also, I want people who are listening to this to think about this epidemic of loneliness, what we can do in this very moment, at this very second. And of course, dun, 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 my first thought is to join our fundraiser. Because again, if you have $10, if you don't, there have been times in my life where $10 would have meant eating or not eating. No shame, no judgment. I don't want you to think like, if you are living in fucking poverty, that we're trying to shame you into giving to. We're not. But if you have $10, if you can figure out a way to find $10 in your budget this month and join our fundraiser, not just because then we get that sense of community of like, look what we did together, look how much money we raised when we all work together, but also because like, we are a global unit, us fucking humans. You know, astronauts will tell you they went to look at the moon, but really they looked back at the earth and saw that we're just this like one unit. And loneliness comes from feeling like you have no support. So many times when I'm looking for something, I give it to somebody else, and then it almost like tricks me. It tricks my whole body and mind into thinking that like I've also received it. You know, it's one of the most beautiful things about being alive, is this trickery of giving and receiving. So I brought a song because we bring songs. I wanted to bring Strong Woman Song. And this is a piece of music that Annie Lemarot introduced us to. The first time I heard it was her singing. The version that we're going to put in the newsletter is performed by Lisa Muswagon and Ravenheart Belcourt. But I just want to read something. Nancy Stevens reminds those who sing it that the strong woman's song should be credited to the Anishinabe kwewag and the Zhoganosh kwewag, who were in solitary confinement in the prison for women in Kingston, Ontario during the 1970s. Although Indigenous women across the globe have long been guardians of human rights, the issue in Canada at the time was a need to revise the Indian Act, which removed a woman's Indian status if she married a non-Indian man. Nancy said it was these women who had this song come to them. My understanding from one of the women I sing with, and who went to P4W to work with the women there at that time, that this song emerged as a way of staying alive, of supporting each other in that hellhole. Many women in P4W lost their lives because of the horrendous conditions there. We sing this song to honor them and all women. So my fucking prescription this week is money where your mouth is, May. Listen to Strong Woman Song. And while you're in that 5 minutes, see if you can find $10 in your budget. And you could also win amazing prizes from like Jinx Monsoon and Pam Grossman and Kate Ballou and Sarah Gottesdiener and like so many other amazing things. Like, this is an all-in-one prescription this week. We can do something for our bodies and our souls and our minds and try to fight this fucking epidemic of loneliness that we understand is very real, but has been constructed by the way we've been forced to live and treat each other. Strong Woman Song is my prescription this week.
When I saw that piece of news, and I think they even put a number on it, like the death rates from loneliness were equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Like, it's so,
yeah, like a pack a day almost, like
so toxic, so scary. I thought about your chapter in New Moon Magic in our new book about the circle, you know, like I was just thinking about how we interconnecting circles, like even just finding one circle. And so I want to read a little piece from what Amy wrote about the circle. She wrote, a circle doesn't require a card game or even a cheesecake. She's telling stories about circles in her family. Nor does it require goddesses chanting, bonfires, calling the corners, or drawing down the moon, though those things certainly heighten the atmosphere. A circle is any place in any form wherein witches, women, and or other marginalized people gather to safely exist, to listen and be seen, hear stories, tell stories, share our gifts and burdens, bear witness to trauma and steal its power, bear witness to joy and watch it multiply. A quilting bee or a sewing circle, a book club or group therapy, a Sunday brunch with your pals where you piece together the hazy adventures of Saturday night can all be a circle. And this circle is perhaps witch's most powerful tool. It doesn't have to be framed as magical because it is inherently magical. It's how we change the world bit by bit together. It is gathering in honesty, vulnerability, cooperation, and collaboration, the having of problems and the doubling of dreams, the solving of some mysteries and the discovery of others, a perpetual motion machine where we both produce and absorb energy, an infinite Ouroboros, a ring of power and protection, a warm embrace, arms looped around and around each other. That's the other piece of the prescription. You don't have to come out as a witch. You can keep your secrets. You can be a witch in the coven, you know, or with the one friend, but you can tap into the inherent power and political power of
extremely political power
of every fucking circle, right? Go to a knitting circle in a church basement and tell the truth about trauma, or, you know, like just tell the truth about who you are and what you see and what your kids believe, you know, those actions and those circles resonate. So that's the other part of that prescription, I think.
Yeah, but we want to leave you with the most special piece of music that we heard or we're a part of creating this week. Risa sent me a little video and I pulled the audio so that you could all hear it. Risa, do you want to tell everybody what it is?
Yeah, so yesterday after I emerged from my spiral in the basement, I was feeling a bit better. I was on the couch and May and Mark were like jamming out. So he's on his guitar, she's on her ukulele, she's like bouncing around on the couch with the ukulele on, and she's yelling at Mark like, let's hit it, let's do this. He's strumming, and then she starts to sing and she makes up the lyrics, but you'll hear them in the track. But I think it starts with the universe is flowing through me, something like that. What does she say?
It's better than that.
Yeah. It's like, anyway, you'll hear it, folks.
Something about the world going through her as opposed to her going through the world. Anyway. Yeah.
And then she just starts rocking out real hard, repeating, I love myself and all of me. I love myself and all of me. And she's just like bouncing and hammering on the fucking uke. And I love myself and all of me. She's singing it to the camera. She's singing it to the window. She's just like, it's like just everything that I need to hear and remind myself. And it is incredibly fucking healing to hear her say that about herself, you know. I love all of her. I'm glad she does too.
Yeah,
You know?
it's a mantra that I expect to adopt.
Yeah.
So thank you, May, for part of this week's prescription.
Sweet May Marigold in the month of May, reminding us all our transformative power and loving ourselves and all of ourselves.
Yes, let's combat the epidemic of loneliness by supporting each other, not by counting the numbers that we have on our friends list, but by actually supporting each other.
Mm-hmm. And remember, you don't know what's going on.
You don't know. You don't know what's going on. None of us do. Honestly, don't worry about it.
Don't
What
worry
was
about
that?
it.
What was it? Farida? Was it that the quote that I sent you this week? Was it from Farida? Imposter syndrome is just being so lit that you can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where May's at. May's like so lit, but she's like fully aware of how lit
she believes it.
Yeah, she believes it. And we want you to believe it too.
Yeah. Believe it. And bless it fucking be.
The world's drifting through me, and my life is all to me. I love myself and all me. I love myself and all of me, all of me. I love myself and all of me. Love myself and all of me. I love myself and all of me. Woo!
Hi folks, it's Risa and Amy here from Missing Witches, inviting you to get involved in our annual raffle in support of the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal and Indigenous-run nonprofits wherever you live.
We have a ridiculously fun, witchy heap of prizes donated by a whole community of folks joining together to make a magical wave of reparations magic.
There's a prize pack from Jinx Monsoon.
A one-on-one tarot session with Sarah Gottesdiener.
Magic classes from Pam Grossman.
A full year of writing workshops with Kate Ballou and the Bardo.
Art pieces, jewelry pieces, readings, books, and so much more.
Make a donation to your local Indigenous support org or the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal, and then just forward the receipt to missingwitches@gmail.com with the subject line reparations before May 31st.
For every $10 you donate, you'll get one entry into the draw. Check out all the details at missingwitches.com/reparations.
And bless the
Bless
fucking
it
be.
fucking be.